So this lesson, we're going to do chapter 2.1, and we're going to show you again how to use the TI-84, this time involving histograms and changing classes of the histograms. So remember, when we talk about class sizes, a class width, if you will, the class, let's see if I can get this to work here again. So the class width, or determine the number of classes, our class width is going to be our maximum value minus our minimum value divided by however many classes you want. So here it says that we want 6 classes. So let's see what we got going on here. So to do this, we have to first enter the data into the calculator. So if we clear this off here, to enter data in the calculator, we use the stat button. So hit the stat button. And to enter the data again, we use number 1 for edit. And I have some data in here, but I don't want this data, so I'm gonna go up and clear and come down. So I'm gonna enter this data. So this time I'm actually gonna go like top to bottom. I'm gonna go 68 down arrow, 65 down arrow. Then I'm gonna do like 105 down arrow, 88. I'm gonna do that pattern. So I'm gonna pause a moment and complete the data. So again, I've got my data in, and if you want to pause and get your data in, that's quite all right. So from there, to determine the number of classes, what we do is we identify the maximum number and the minimum value. I'm gonna go ahead and use my stat button. I'm gonna go ahead and sort the data using number 2, and I'm gonna choose list 1. So that's second, and then L1 is above the 1 here. And I'll close that parenthesis to make it look a little bit better. It should take it either way. And done. So now if I go to my data, I can kind of look at it again through the edit. And my minimum value is 65, and my maximum value would be 120. So if we go 120, take away 65, and if we divide that by the number of classes they want, if we divide that by 6, that'll give us our scale. So if we go 120, take away 65, divide that by 6. I guess that could be using your calculator. So I'm getting like 9.16. So we always round up to the next value, which would be actually 10. So the class width would be like 10. So let's see where this would take us here. Now, one thing is, like I said, we're going to be using technology. So in using technology, what I can do here is go to the second button, and stat plot is above the y equals button. And the stat plots, plot 1 is what I'm looking at. So I'm just going to hit enter and open up plot 1. But also it's already on. What I want to do to create a histogram, the type is actually going to be this guy right here. Hit enter. The list, I need L1, and I do have L1 there. So everything else looks quite okay. So now I can just quit all this. So hit second mode and it'll get me out of there. If I go to zoom and choose number 9 for zoom stat, we have to scroll down on your screen. Mine actually is there, but number 9 zoom stat, it'll actually create a scale for us. And then if I hit graph, and it actually graphs it. Notice that it does give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It does give me 6 classes. If I use the trace button, it'll take me across here, and it'll kind of tell me that the frequency error is 60 is 4. That's going to be our vertical, and then we'll have like this across here. Our frequency would be 6 for the next one, and then our frequency would be 4. Our frequency would be 5. Frequency would be 4, and then no frequency there, and then 0. So then you kind of see the, the maximum value there was like this 129.166. So it kind of took us all up to there, but we know that our maximum value is really 120. Now, if I want to change my classes to say a different value, suppose we wanted 10 classes instead of 6 classes. What I would do is, instead of dividing by 6, I would divide by 10. So if I was using my calculator, let's quit again, second mode. If I do like 120 subtract 65, my max minus my min, hit enter. If I divide that by 10, that'll give me my class width, which is 5.6, or we would round that up to 6. So if I use a class width of 6, then that should create 10 classes. So the way that we do this is we use the window button. And again, X min is 65, X max is, 129. If I don't like that, if I like to rather use like 125, because that's still good enough, I can do that and clean that up a little bit. Notice how instead of using this here, we're going to use a class width of 6. And everything else, it seems like it displayed my graph just fine. So I'm going to leave everything else the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit graph. And notice now I should have 10 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you use the trace button, I can now kind of go between them. So notice how it shows my frequency is 4, and my maximum value there is 71. Go there. My maximum value is 77. So it's between, now that's 74, that's 77. That's your pulse rates. So notice how you have 83 to 77 kind of going on there. You have 89 to 83. That's how you kind of does your maximum. So you're between 95 and 89 on your pulse rates. So, and notice how it's showing me my frequencies too as I go across here with my trace button. So if I want to change my classes to say, I did 10. 10 looks like a lot, but if I want to do 20, I'm kind of curious to see what 20 does. But 20 seems to be like way too many. But if I do that, so again, if I want to change it to 20 classes, what I do again is I have to use my class width formula. So again, I have this 120 take away 65. And if I want to divide it into 20 classes, actually got to divide that number into 20. And then we get 2.75, so we need to round it up to 3. So now if I go to my window, my X min and X max seem to be okay. But what I'm going to do is change my scale to go by 3s. And I don't think I have to change anything else. Hit graph. And now I should have like 20 classes going across there. And so notice how, excuse me, we have those distributions. So if I hit trace, I can go across there, and notice how it says I'm between 68 and 65 are the pulse rates there, between 71 and 68. And it also gives me my frequencies of those. So remember, this is a frequency histogram. There weren't any pulse rates between 74 and 71. And then we're back up, between 77 and 74, we'd have a frequency of 3. So again, I can be using my trace button to kind of move across there. And we do see that we actually have 20 frequency bars here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 to the right of that. So that kind of concludes my illustration of how we actually could do histograms on a TI-84 and also change classes.